Welcome back to another episode of Profusion. Today we've got Thomas Blackwell here. Thomas, what's going on, man?
Things are amazing in my world. How are you doing, Andrews? Glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years, 2-3 years since we've seen each other. I believe in synchronicities, right? So we got kind of caught up in a text coincidentally, and I said, "Hey, Thomas is he says good stuff. He's inspiring and enlightening and motivating, and he's a speaker. You're on the tour. We spoke for a couple minutes before this. You're touring quite a bit, right? And inspire and say do achieve. It's almost like well, better, how. Have you heard that saying? Well, better, how. Yeah, it's sort of like that. Tell us a little bit about what you've been up to and about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. So I've had the beautiful opportunity. It's been really humbling and inspiring to speak to people all over the world about changing their language and changing their results, their environment, and changing their life on the fact that we bring about, we talk about. And so the company that I found is called Say to Achieve. And it's really inside of that, Andrew. It's when your words, the say, are congruent with your actions, the do, you can achieve anything you want in life. Oftentimes we find that people, they have great intentions, they're putting forth the effort, but their words are not congruent with what they want to accomplish. And I prove that essentially inside of that when you change your language to be congruent with that, you can achieve anything you want in life. And we prove it physically, we prove it scientifically, neurologically, even at a high level spiritually. So it's an amazing thing. Didn't set out to do that, but when I wrote the book and went around the world, as I've been doing, it's been fascinating to do it. So it's been an awesome journey, and have an opportunity to speak to people just about every week all over the world.
So I have goals, but I can never reach them. Even though how do I get myself to say the right things that I'm going to reach them?
It's an easy switch, actually. I'm always achieving my goals. That's all you have to say. But the fact that you just say I have goals, but I'm never achieving them, everything's going into place.
Sometimes I think they're too high, right? They're just.
Yeah. Well, that's up to you. So the thing about winners, and you're well familiar with winners, is winners have a language of they're always winning at something. So the key to win, there's a chapter in my book called The Language of Those Who Win. And winners, champions, identify and celebrate the victories regardless of the score. So if we're always looking at the scoreboard, Andrew, we might think ourselves a loser, but we have to find where did we win. And so when you set a goal, and I've changed goal to action item, a goal has this sometimes feeling of it's okay, or disclaimer not to hit it. And too many people are saying, well, I don't hit my goals, and they're, like you said, too big. Well, make it an action item, just like, a thing that you do every day, every week. And I have quarterly action items of things that I'm doing. Here's what I'm getting done. So it's not a goal, it's what I'm making happen. And it makes it a lot closer to the heart, and just takes all the animosity perhaps around goal setting and goal achieving. You know what I mean? So just bring it home. Here's what I'm going to do. And bam, do it.
So it's hard work, has to be, you got to work hard to back up what I want to achieve, basically. Pretty much.
Well, I mean, if you see it as hard work, I'm big on the word. So I dial into these things. If I said, hey, it's going to be hard, you and I, are in the business field and entrepreneurs and those sorts of things. And if I said it's going to be hard, life is hard, business is hard, goal achieving is hard, that word is actually a downer. It carries a weight that, if I showed up to my team and said, hey, we're going to achieve some amazing things and it's going to be hard, nobody would get out of bed in the morning, And so, but if you just change hard, so change your language to worth the effort. It's not hard, it's worth the effort. Life is worth the effort. Business is worth the effort. Achieving high goals is worth the effort. We're not afraid of that. Is it worth the effort? Yeah. Is it going to take effort? Sure. But it's worth it, right? People say on a basic level, oh, raising teenagers is hard. No, raising teenagers is worth the effort. Put some effort into it, type thing. So take the hard out of it and change it to worth the effort. And all you're doing is putting in effort that's worth it.
So what other words do you see that you like to interchange?
There's so many. The key here is to only say the things you actually want to happen. Only say the things you actually want to happen. And I'll answer some common specific words, but I think it's important that I lay a little bit of groundwork here on this. Because what I've learned is that we are the captains of our destinies. We're the captains of our ships, if you will. So our ships being our body, our immediate sphere of influence. And whether, you captain of a commercial ship, a cruise liner, military ship, whatever, there's a captain and there's a crew. The crew obeys the captain. If the captain says, sail towards the destination, sail towards the promised land, the crew says very simply, aye, captain. And they go to work with total 100% obedience to make that command happen. There's no disobedience. If the captain says, interesting enough, I want you to sink this ship, what does the crew say? Same thing. Aye, captain. And they will go to work with no disobedience and sink the ship. Now, how true is this for real? I was speaking to a group of Navy SEALs in Texas. And these are amongst the most elite soldiers on the planet, as you know. I told that example. One of the Navy SEALs pops out of his chair and he says, Mr. Blackwell. I felt like I had to salute. I said, yes, sir. He said, let me be clear about something. We're Navy SEALs. We've all been on ships. We know exactly what a captain is and our part as a crew. Let me just be clear that what you're saying is 100% true, because if there's an ounce of disobedience on that crew, from that crew, they're off that ship that fast. There is no tolerance for this. So why I'm saying this, because what I'm saying, I wonder how many people sink their own ships, Andrew, on a daily basis by what they say. For example, it's Monday. Nothing good ever happens on Monday. And your crew says, aye, captain, we'll make that happen for you. And they go to work to make that happen. Right. And then there's other people that say Mondays are great. Mondays are incredible. I'm always meeting great people on Monday. Mondays are fantastic. And your crew says what? The same thing. Aye, captain. And they go to work to make that happen for you. And so you can start to see why people live the lives they do, is because they're commanding their crews on a daily basis. You see, our language is literally just a window to our reality. What you say is what you see, right? To some people, it's amazing. I can be looking at the same thing, and other people, it's detrimental. Same thing. And so it's our response to that. So the words, when I say only say the things you actually want to happen, it's switching the things. For example, take two words: forget versus remember. You know what I mean? Forget versus remember. Do you want to forget? No, I want to remember. So my wife says, hey, honey, don't forget the keys. No, honey, remember the keys. Something I'll never forget. No, that starts to sink, because never and forget are downers. I'll say, no, here's something I always want to remember, or will always remember. So there's just little nuances there, but it becomes, there's a chapter in my book called The Physical Power of Our Words. They're literally physical. To when I say things that are positive, I'm strong, physically strong, literally strong. My body has strength. When I say something negative, it's weak, and it goes weak. And there's a lot of studies of this. It's called the kinesiology of it all. But Dr. David Hawkins wrote several books, but one that he wrote that proves and puts this all into place is called Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. Power versus force. And so it's an amazing thing. So I show people this all over the world, and they recognize, wow, is my language congruent with strength and sailing towards my destination? Or is it attached to sinking to what I don't want? Right. So think about that in a sense, and we can pinpoint words all day long that we're either strength or weakened.
That's interesting. Yeah, I took some notes here. I think the key, self-sabotage is kind of sort of the crux of this, right? So, and you're touching on positive psychology. My issue is when I just like to talk, right? I feel good when I just say stuff on the fly, right? Like who doesn't? You know what I mean? Like, obviously I would prefer myself to say something more positive. Like I have two boys. One will say anything is possible, right? He's going to be a billionaire. He's going to be a president. My other son will be like, well, he's like, he thinks my one son thinks he's going to marry the Princess of England, right? He doesn't know, but like, it's possible, right?
Sure.
It's not like somebody married the Prince of England. This kid, I jokingly was like, I was like, who are you gonna marry? He's like, I don't know. I was like, who should I marry? And he's like, the Princess of England. You know what I mean? So he's like, now it's like in his brain. And my other son was like, no, he's more of a realist / skeptic. And he's like, no, how are you gonna do that? He's more focused on the action items than the necessarily
bring it out there.
belief. So how, like, I guess slowing down and processing what you're going to say is super important, but it kind of takes a little bit of the excitement out of life. And then also, like, I'm from New Jersey. Where are you from, Thomas?
Arizona originally. Yeah.
Okay. So in New Jersey, like, people speak negatively most of the time, right? So for 18 years, that's just public school system for you. I went to private school part of the time, but that is sort of how the kids were raised. I don't know how they are in Florida because I'm not inside the schools to hear, but there's a lot of negativity and toughness going on instead of encouragement and positive psychology going on, at least where I grew up and in the public school system there. So that's sort of hard to shake sometimes, to do it the right way and also to slow down, which patience is really, it's a lot of effort. It's worth the effort.
There you go. Yeah. Good transition there. So I think you'd find, Andrew, that, in school systems across the world, this is such a simple concept and things. So that's why I love to speak to school systems. I just spoke to a whole high school last week in Texas, and speak to universities. And I love it because I love speaking to the staff. So they're teaching this way and conscious of it, but then to the students, the stuff I wish that I would known. So back to these things, I recognize that that's the environment that you grew up in, but it doesn't matter as long as you're conscious of it now. You can make a shift so fast. That's what's beautiful about it. This isn't something I say, hey, try for 6 months and see how you do. This can happen today, right away. And so you mentioned a filter in our brains, and that's a beautiful thing. We've been blessed really to think before we speak. Now, sometimes we mess that deal up and we speak before we think. And you think about what's happened in our world. I can show you history, and it's very apparent that wars have started because of something someone said.
Oh, yeah.
People get divorced and relationships end in some capacity because of stuff people said, right? It's those words that are...
People have grudges with people or 100%. Friends or clients.
It's that power of the tongue, right? It can start a fire or it can douse it out. So here's a key thing for people to remember. Before you speak, have a filter of, is this going to make the situation better or is it going to make it worse? Is it going to be encouraging or discouraging? And even sarcasm and stuff like that, it's still out there, right? And we put stuff out there, and even in coaching and in sports and things that I've had the opportunity to do, I have to be conscious of, is this going to make them feel better or worse, right? And by them beating them down, do I feel like that's going to lift them up some way magically? No. So back to the Navy SEALs, I say think before you speak and really process, is this going to make it better or worse or encouraging or discouraging? Is it going to be progressive or digressive? But they actually have a formula, and here it is. Before they speak, they're taught SLPR. They stop, they listen to the whole situation. So they're contemplating, digesting the situation, stop, listen, they pause, then determine, is what I'm about to say going to make this better or worse? And in some situations, it's life or death for them. They're in hostile situations. And then the R is respond. So it's SLPR. They stop, they listen, they pause, then they respond. It would bless us really to do us a lot of good to have that pattern, especially, whatever relationships people in. I've been married 25 years, and I've messed that deal up pretty good sometimes. And then I've done pretty conscious of it, and it works well. Is what I'm about to say going to help her feel better or help her feel worse? So there it is.
Yeah, it's easy to just slip, literally, right?
Yeah.
When the SEALs are in life or death situations, they have more consequences. Like these kind of strategies they need to implement. But I guess these are debatably life and death as well for positive psychology and achieving the goals. And I over the years I've I'm 43 now, so I'm like, I had limiting beliefs a lot of the time, and I'm starting to shake those a little better. But actions and networking help with that a lot, help shake those limiting beliefs, and seeing that other people can do it and it's achievable, not an envious strategy, but it's achievable by that person. So why isn't it achievable by me? And to have an abundance mindset instead of scarcity. Those are a couple of that's the purpose of Profusion. Abundance and scarcity. There's only so big of a pie to go around, right? Okay, let's just expand the pie because there's always more, right?
100%.
So that's sort of, I'm trying to treat this like a tennis clinic between you and me here. Stay hard, go strong, stay at a 4 level, right?
Well, it's brilliant what you're saying too. Again, that filter is what I'm about to say going to make a friend or an enemy. You put it in that perspective, and are they going to like me after this or not like me after what I'm about to say? And then choose your words wisely. Now, when it comes to even simple words, so only saying the things you want to have happen. And then I want to put some weight on the abundance aspect. Issue, struggle. Here's something I struggle with. Here's something I have an issue with. What does your crew say? Aye, Captain. Almost like cement that deal in there. Do you want the issue or do you want the struggle? Inevitably, no, you don't. So if you change it to simply, here's something I'm conscious of, I'm aware of, and I'm constantly getting better at. Here's something I'm constantly improving on versus I have an issue I'm struggling with, right? If you change issue to here's an opportunity, change challenge or to opportunity. Companies say, oh, we struggle with this and here's our biggest challenge. I'll say, no, here's your biggest opportunity. Opportunity is progressive. Challenges beat you down to the ground. Like you're giving it the power. And so when you give something else the power, you become powerless, right? And so the same thing is in abundance. I was just, I coach CEOs from all over the world and different companies, different industries as part of our company. So I was talking to one, he's a very successful contractor, and they hold the market probably the best. I mean, they do very, very well, almost 200 million a year in their field. And he said, these are our competitors. These are our competitors, don't want to give way to our competitors. And I say, hold on a second. Competitors, is that positive or negative? Do you see that as a positive or negative? He's like, well, sort of negative. Like they got the deal, they got the bid versus we got the bid. So they sort of see him as a negative. I said, what if you were to flip that and say, just change competitors to partners in our industry? These are partners in our industry. Like, is there enough for everybody? Yes. It's an ocean of abundance, and you're operating at perhaps out of a lake or a pond, right? And we all can take as much as we want. For example, if ocean represents abundance, some people show up with a small little glass. Well, I'm going to take a little bit just to make sure there's some tomorrow. Make sure there's some, everybody can have their little, I'm going to take a little glass out. But does the ocean care? Is the ocean going to replenish itself? Are you going to empty the ocean with your little glass? No. Then other people show up and they say, well, I'm going to bring a bucket. You know what I mean? I bring a bucket and they've got a bucket of abundance. And Is the ocean care? You're gonna empty the ocean with the bucket? No. And then somebody will show up with a barrel, Andrew, and still they can have as much as they want. And then some people show up with tankers, 10 of them, like huge rigs, 18 wheelers of tankers, and they're filling up their tankers with abundance every single day. And does the ocean care? No, it's whatever you decide is your abundance level.
So here's like $1 million question, right? Because I'm a businessman, entrepreneur. I work in private equity, and a lot of the times it's psychology. I'm attempting to show people, persuade people into seeing, a different kind of mindset, not a fear mindset, not something that is like a loss necessarily. So how do you persuade people that have a negative or a scarcity mindset and aren't open to change? It's more or less selling, right? It's sort of, I guess the archaic form is sales, right? A word I might not want to use, right? Sales, I might call it like a Blackwell word would be like adapting or evolving or adjusting or growing, right? So that's what we come across a lot is or sales, right? How do you persuade them to do what you want them to do when they have these other mindsets? I'm staying the course. Everything's good this way. I don't need new partner. Am I going off here? Is any of this making sense to you? No.
100%. Yeah. So it's, I serve people in the sales industry all the time, and it's an amazing thing. And there's a couple switches of the mindset. Is one, a person of wealth, okay, whether the seller or the sellee, the person receiving, you must remember this, that a wealthy person is never sold anything. They never buy anything. What they do is if they see value, they will invest in it. They don't spend money, they invest money. So ROI, return on investment, if they are seeing clearly the value of it, they'll invest in it. And so as the person that's representing that product or service properly represents the value for that person, helps them see it, they'll invest whatever amount it takes. It's not about affording it or anything. But a wealthy person, I've adapted this. I don't buy anything. If I see value in it, I'll invest in it because there must be a return. If there's no return, I'm not interested. Now, flip that around. A lot of people go through life expecting some return without putting in the investment, right? The resources, the time, the energy, and sometimes it's monetary value. So those things are hand in hand. I must see that formula and play it out. So as a salesperson or a person that represents a product or an industry, all you have to do is help them see value and they'll invest in it. And if you don't, just recognize there's no value in that and move on. So it's a switch of the mindset, but I'm not selling them anything. I'm going to help them see what I'm about to represent going to help them achieve what they want and their vision. So I spend most of the time finding out, what's your vision? What do you want to accomplish here? Do I have a product or service that can help you achieve that? If I do, let's talk about it. If I don't, I'll be the first to tell you I'm out. Because that's all my goal is here today, is to help you achieve your vision and your goals. Pretty simple.
Yeah. What if, you're reframing it as their vision. What I like to do is I like to create a vision for them.
Sure.
So that's what I found myself doing a lot.
Or with them, right? Yeah.
Well, with them or for them, because a lot of people, they don't have, creative bone in their body necessarily. They don't have vision. They're just kind of, so that's kind of, well, if you do this, you can do that, and that has a lot more impact. And so I'm creating vision. I should probably maybe ask them their vision, but
well, you want to, no doubt you've been successful in what you're doing, so there's definitely merit to it. Consider that they do have creativity in there. It just needs to be activated, right? And you can be an activator of creating a student saying, what is your vision? And it'll cause them to, because it's a bigger question. It's not like, hey, how are you today? But I always, what is their foundation, and help them build up that foundation even more so we can build something great together with whatever product and service that I'm representing. And so, yeah, it's a powerful question. What is your vision here? What do you want to accomplish? And if they don't know, we'll say, then I can know where I can help, where I can facilitate. And a long time ago, I changed sells to serving. I don't sell anybody anything. I serve people. Tom Hopkins, one of the greatest people in his industry, he's in the real estate industry. He sold 365 homes in 365 days. And now he just goes around the world and talks about it. So that was his vision, to do that. First year, he didn't hit it. He only sold like 100 whatever, so many homes, but that's a lot for a realtor. Next year, 200 so many homes. Third year, he hits his goal. But he changed the language a bit. One thing he says, I no longer have sellers. I no longer have buyers. You know what I mean? I only have people I serve. And so he changed how he saw himself and how he spoke to people. You know, served a family yesterday, helped him get a home. How can I serve you? So he changed sells to serve. And so, can I serve people to help them accomplish what they want? Another phrase that I say every day, that this is over, 20 years ago, went to his seminar. He said, I commit, this is a daily affirmation, I commit to do the most productive thing possible at every given moment. And that's a filter for life. I commit to do the most productive thing possible at every given moment. So what that does is it starts to eliminate distractions and things that are destructive, really, that are hindering you, robbing you like a thief in the night from your progression. Now, let me be clear about something, Andrew. Sometimes the most productive thing for me to do is just sit on the couch and hold my wife's hand and say, how's your day? You know what I mean? Sometimes just to talk with one of my daughters and see how their day was, and just go on a walk, or so but that conscious filter, what's the most productive thing possible at this moment, will facilitate an abundance mindset. And if something else to add to that level of abundance is with the words attraction. We cannot attract that which we criticize. We cannot attract that which we criticize. And that's a deep statement in the fact that people oftentimes criticize wealth or criticize achievements. Oh, it's because they have this or they have that, or they curse it this way or another, and you're not attracting it. But so must be an attractive mindset, because success in general is not pursued. It's attracted. Success is not chased, it's attracted. Because if I'm chasing someone or something, what's the natural reaction? I mean, you and I know each other, right? If I started chasing you, although you know me, Andrew, you would run. That's the natural reaction. So success is not pursued, it's not chased, but it's attracted. And are you attractive enough with your language and your product, your service, your value to attract people in there? That's high level.
Yes. I like people that pursue me, because I see them as persistent salespeople, though. Mm-hmm. That is, as long as
that's attractive then.
That's what I like, people who are disciplined and not too persistent, obviously, mm-hmm. but persistent, because I know they'll be able to get the job done. And I'm attracted to people who are motivated, because if I do business with them, then I know they'll do that to other people and keep things on track. And that's important to getting things done. But as long as it aligns with my goals, obviously, or my vision. But
and I'll add, just on that note, that's persistency is super attractive. Like, this is the type of person I want to do business with. And in that language, hey, I'm following up with you like I said I would, as promised. That's integrity, right? And so the fortune's in the follow-up. Are you kidding me? That's how you and I built anything, and anybody of success has built anything. But the mindset of I'm creating an attractive offer, attractive piece, that sort of thing. But you have to follow up. Absolutely. And people want to do business with people who are persistent, because they'll know they'll put that same effort towards them.
Well, speaking of like fortune in the follow-up, one thing I do a lot of introspection, because I want to become more efficient, right? Mm-hmm. Who doesn't want to be more efficient because that gives you more free time, basically. And I realized that I fail so much. I fail like so much of the time. It's way more than half. You know,
When you say fail, what do you mean?
In business, in sales, in conversation, so many of things I work on don't succeed.
Okay.
It's like 90%, it feels like 80-90%. But the smaller hits, they're usually big, right? But or the hits that do succeed are big, so they give the appearance of, maybe they give the appearance that I don't fail, but it's still a painful process. It's still, for me, and that's just reality. That might be, that's reality for me. I don't know how to change those words. Maybe I need to change the word that I'm failing. Maybe I'm planting seeds for later.
100%. Well, yeah. It goes back to the very beginning, what we talked about, and I can appreciate what you're saying, certainly. But fail's a downer, right? Fail means you everything was lost, everything was burned, and it's not true. A wise mentor of mine once said, Thomas, the only way you fail is if you quit.
Yeah.
And Andrew, you haven't quit, and so you're not failing at anything. You may have found ways it doesn't work. And also there's back to champions and how champions speak. Look, champions identify and celebrate the victories regardless of the score. You may just be looking at the score, and if you didn't hit the score that you were achieving or looking to go, hey, I failed. No. The only way you fail too is if there's no result. No result. Now, you attempted, you went through it. Was there some result? Something? Yes. Okay, then there's no failure. So William Shakespeare said it the best I've ever heard. He said, our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. Our doubts are traitors and make us lose the good we oft might win by fearing to attempt. So where people can say they failed is if they never attempted. If they never got off, their seat and made it happen. But because you've done it, you've gotten some result, some seed, something is happening. And so there's no failure. There's just different results, right? Sometimes it's this result, and sometimes it's this result. Sometimes it's a seed planted for later. But yeah, I would change that failure to, I get different results all the time. Sometimes they're like this, sometimes they're like this, sometimes, but because you're not a failure. If you didn't do anything.
It's that realist in me that just wants to not slow down and just get to the word quickly. It's like reading a book. I'm reading fast through a book, or I'm reading slow through a book. Am I really reading it, or am I just reading to get to the end of the chapter sometimes, and that's what I caught myself doing this morning. Unfortunately, I'm like, I read every morning. I'm like, I'm just reading to get through the chapter. I'm not really reading to feel,
to digest
and feel at one with reading and let everything go on around me. I was like looking over here and looking over here, distracted. I was not, at one. And that I find myself, do you ever find yourself doing that?
Of course, it takes effort to have a clear comprehension. And so distractions equals destruction. And so if I'm going to read, it's best for me to eliminate everything else, right? My phone's aside, emails off, these sorts of things. This is my, whatever the time frame is, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be that long, but there's leaders are readers. And so you've established that high achievers, high earners or high learners. And so this, Andrew, and so do I, but I had to establish that. So keep it up, but I would say eliminate the distractions that might be causing the look around saying, I'm down in here.
Right here between my ears. Because it's thinking all these different things I need to do. Sometimes I'm like, it's just not a reading day. I'm just like, it's like, hey, I don't have to work out every day. You know what I mean? I got to take a break, but I got to work on my words and slow down. I like the, what are some, you have two daughters or a daughter you mentioned. What are some words that you're conscious about that you use, that you interchange to maybe, and I Shad Helmstetter. Are you familiar with him? Shad.
I'm not. No.
He's
Shad.
Shad Helmstetter.
Haven't. No.
Yeah, he's big into the words. He's always like he wrote a book on replacing words. It's like something about what to think. It's like what to think. Basically, that's the key. What to think, right? How do you what you're thinking, right?
Sure.
Because if you change what you're thinking, then you can change what you say. But how do you get in your mind to think so positive and then say the positive or say or exert what could happen instead of what could fail?
Yeah. Words are just, thoughts are just silent words. That's all they are. Thoughts are just silent words. So either way, it's the words that are the trigger, whether they're in the mind or physically said. The crew obeys when they are actually pronounced out of the mouth. And that's why we have that filter of the mind.
But I have to believe it though, because I can say things out loud, but I don't believe them.
Well, either way, the crew goes to work to make it happen. So that's the power of this affirmation. Muhammad Ali was brilliant at this, the great boxer.
But he probably believed it though, right?
His phrase is I have to say it whether I believe it or not. And eventually I do believe it because I was saying it, because the body responds either way to what you say, no matter what, right or wrong, can versus can't, weak, can, strong. And so by you saying this is, the language of those who win, also the chapter in my book is words of affirmation. What you say every day, I command my crew, and eventually everything, the universe, everything comes into place to make that happen. You know what I mean? I'm conscious of what I eat. Like I commit to eat the most productive thing possible at every given moment. So every time I'm before something, I think, is this the most productive thing? And because I've said that I commit to do the most productive thing possible, it's like an automatic for me now. And I've been saying it for 20 years, right? But I had to build up that muscle just like anything. We have to do reps. Then that's what words are. They're reps of building the muscle of, consciousness.
The analogies. I love the analogies in life. That's how I like to learn, and that's how I want to teach. That's the book I mentioned, Hidden Genius. There's a chapter in there. It talks about how if we can just analogize, because complex situations can be simplified through analogies. Yeah. Right. Like that's just the reality of I'm in a complex deal, right? No, I got a man on first and second. Somebody needs to knock these runners in, right?
Yeah.
Not gonna, keep it real simple. You got, so.
Yeah, you're not going to be Mr. Olympia the first time you work out. You know what I mean? Yeah. People, if you can't have that expectation, I'm not going to be a triathlete. I
wonder how strong my muscles are for positive psychology.
well, here's something to flip it around. Is some people have been working the muscle of negative psychology for so long. That's why it's so dominant.
But it's so interesting though, right? Look at Donald Trump. Like he, there's a culture to it in America, debatably. And people vote for it. I'm not saying vote for him or against him. I'm not what I'm here to do that. But that is sort of the American way. Even when you go globally, you travel internationally, people are like, oh, Americans are obnoxious and stupid and loud and noisy. I used to travel a lot, and that was pretty much the MO for all Americans. So it's almost a culture thing here, debatably, right?
Yeah, environment.
So, yeah, I mean,
your words affect our environment. So what's being said, and we're a product of the factory we grew up in.
America's very competitive.
Exactly.
They don't like to win. They like look at the Olympics. They want to win, So that's
right. So that's what we're products of. And I can have mercy on that, and I can have grace, and I can also have pride in that we're a product of our environment. And so now the consciousness is do I want that culture to change, whether in my business, my company, or for myself? For example, Andrew, we don't get what we deserve in life. We get what we expect. And I can tell a person's expectations just by what they say. How do you expect your day to be? How do you expect, to achieve this? Companies will hire me and say, hey, Thomas, we want to change the culture. I was just speaking to an oil services company in Louisiana, and I want to change the culture. You know what I mean? And they sort of, I said, well, give me 15 minutes. Give me 20 minutes. What do you mean? I said, I'm going to go talk to your people. I'm going to go talk to your managers. I will learn the expectation that fast by what's coming out of their mouth, and then what needs to change the expectation. It's that simple. So when we change our expectations, we'll change our results. You don't get what you deserve. And oftentimes people give their life to the wind. Like you don't have a culture. You'll either have a culture by design or you have a culture by default. I either default to what's happening all around me, or I have a culture by design, by me saying what I want to have happen. And so in my house, in my culture with my 4 daughters, like we have a specific culture here. Out of the world is different. And I'm fine with that, but I control what I can control. And that's my environment, my culture in my life, my company, and with my relationships. And so some people say, Thomas, you live in a different world. And I say, you're right. I do. And I live in a beautiful world. Like I just
read that about Greg Maddox, you're my Atlanta boy, right? So Greg Maddox said, I was struggling and I was, I hit the majors and I was doing okay. And one pitching coach was like, dude, you can't control anything. And that really might hit home for some people out there, or even me or you, that you probably already hit home for you, because this is what you do. Mm-hmm. But I can only control what I do. I can't control everything around me, what the hitter thinks, what the guy over there thinks, what the fan thinks. I can only control me. And he said, once I started thinking, like, I can only control what I say, how I smile or look at you, I can only control what I can control. And once he started playing that way, his level went, he's, to the top. He went to the summit.
100%. Yeah, we control. If you want to change the world, change your world, and the whole world will change for you. What you see, those eyes that you see, your reality. You know what I mean? And that back to what I said earlier. Your language is a window to your reality. What you say is what you see.
So, what are some other words? What are some other words for the audience here?
I find common words, phrases out there.
Okay.
And phrases, again, make sure they're progressive versus digressive. And there's been some trickery in a sense, like good looking evil and evil looking good, even, where people will say, in my world, nothing ever goes wrong. I used to say that. In my world, nothing ever goes wrong. Well, there's 2 words in there that'll put a big gaping hole in your ship. Nothing and wrong. Mm-hmm. So can you flip it to this? In my world, everything always goes right. See the difference? And then they're like, oh, the crew's like, oh, we can do that. We can, like, everything goes right. So we already talked about hard, changing it to worth the effort. Can versus can't. I can't do that. Captain Henry Ford was brilliant when he said, whether you say you can or whether you say you can't, either way, you're right. And it's literal. Either way, you're right. Changing struggle to I'm conscious and always getting better. Challenges to opportunities. These are ones I've mentioned before. Here's a deeper one, because we've used this particular word to describe something that it's not. We say, oh, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. Crazy. Now, crazy by definition means out of control. Do I want something to be out of control? No. Nobody wakes up saying, I hope things are out of control today. I hope things get worse today. Nobody does that, right? But crazy, what do you want to say? That's phenomenal. That's intriguing. That's powerful. That's fantastic. Those are power words, right? And so taking, oh, that's insane. I hear youth saying this all the time. That's insane. That's sick, man. All those are downers versus saying, that's so powerful. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. You know what I mean? So switching those type of things. What are some other ones?
Get your book or hire Tom.
Yeah. Love or hate, love or hate. People,
show me the book. Show me, what is it called again? It's Liberty of Language Revealed, right?
The Liberty of our Language Revealed. Mm-hmm. We talk about. Yeah. So you can get it on my website, thomasblackwellspeak.com, saytoachieve.com, same website. So it's on Audible, it's on Amazon. I'll read it to you, Andrew, if you want me to read it to you.
Start reading right now.
Yeah. but nonetheless,
how often do you get people saying you look like Matt Damon?
Almost every time I speak. Yeah. In Australia, they're bonkers about it. I've spoken in Australia 18 times. Yeah. Goodwill Hunting, right? How do you like them apples? But I was in Australia one time. I came to immigration in Sydney, and literally the immigration staff lady, she looked at my passport and she looked at me, she goes, ladies and gentlemen, Matt Damon has come to Australia. I said, ma'am, I'm not Matt Damon. Look at my passport. I'm not Matt Damon. She goes, I know you have a lot of passports. You know, from the Born Identity, right? That literally happened. So in some of those events, they'll introduce me and they'll play like Born Identity music when they're introducing me. Anyway, it happens. I don't know. I don't necessarily see it, but I guess some people see it.
Yeah.
So nonetheless, but the key really is love to hate. Think about that. We don't have to hate anything. We can love things. Those are downer versus upper. There's that physical power. As people read the book and the physical power of our words, it becomes super real.
What's 2 books besides yours you recommend? Because I got tons.
Yeah. There's so many. Reading one right now by Robin Sharma. He's it's called the Hero Manifesto. That's a fantastic book. Hero Manifesto.
Wealth, Money, Can't Buy was really good too. Really, really good.
Yeah. He's brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Inside of that, a deeper, stronger one, it would be that one by Dr. David Hawkins, Power versus Force. There's a lot of science and things, so it's a deeper read, but it brings this scientific neurological thing to the forefront very quickly. There's a lot of lists, but those are 2 that come to mind right away.
Thank you, Thomas. Hey, everybody out there, if you want to hire him to speak at your event, buy his book, whatever, just I'm not even going to say the website. Just Google Thomas Blackwell, right? Like you'll be able to track him down. He doesn't want to work with you. Thomas, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity, Andrew.
All right.
Appreciate it.